A metallic cylinder vibrates every 42 seconds. Exactly 42. The number of judges of the dead in ancient Egypt. And it sits between two bodies that could change everything you think you know about Cleopatra. Let me explain why archaeologists are afraid to open this tomb. For 2,000 years, the world believed it knew the whole story. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, died in Alexandria. Her body, missing. Her tomb, lost forever. But what if all of that was a lie? In 2024, everything changed. Not by chance, but because a stubborn archaeologist ignored warnings, challenged skeptics, and began digging in a place everyone considered impossible. Taposiris Magna, a temple dedicated to Osiris, the god of rebirth. And what she found is making the scientific world question absolutely everything. It all started with something that seemed insignificant. Geological scans done in the 1990s. The data showed anomalies, periodic vibrations under the sand. But they were ignored for 30 years. Why? Because no one believed that Cleopatra, a Greco-Egyptian queen who died in Alexandria, could be buried 45 kilometers away, deep in the desert. But archaeologist Kathleen Martinez didn't give up. She had a theory. If Cleopatra saw herself as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis, her tomb wouldn't be just anywhere. It would be in a sanctuary, a portal to eternal life. And Taposiris Magna was exactly that. When modern technologies were finally applied, the images revealed something impossible. Perfectly geometric corridors, symmetrical circular chambers, and a central structure shaped like an ankh, the symbol of eternal life. These weren't natural formations. It was intentional architecture. The expedition began with skepticism. The terrain was unstable. The costs were enormous. Expectations were low. But just days after excavations began, something strange happened. Sensors started detecting underground pulses. They weren't random. They repeated every 42 seconds, exactly 42. For the ancient Egyptians, 42 was the number of judges who decided the fate of souls in the Hall of Maat, the final judgment after death. Coincidence? Maybe. But when you're digging up a tomb that might belong to a woman who declared herself immortal, coincidences start to feel like signs. And then, 13 meters down, they found something that shouldn't exist. A perfectly leveled tunnel carved into solid rock with millimetric precision. Modern engineers calculated, with 2,000-year-old technology, this was impossible. But it was there. When the team finally reached the main chamber, the air changed. Literally. The temperature dropped 8 degrees in seconds. The oxygen thinned. And the walls were vitrified, as if they had been exposed to extreme heat, something impossible in a natural underground tomb. On the ceiling, fragments of lapis lazuli, a gemstone rarely used even in royal burials, formed constellations. Not random ones. They depicted Isis bringing Osiris back to life. It was more than a tomb. It was a ritual frozen in time. And then they saw the two sarcophagi, positioned side by side, perfectly aligned, as if whoever placed them there wanted to make it clear. These two are inseparable, in life and in death. Inscriptions on the walls confirmed it. Greek texts and hieroglyphs side by side. Something extremely rare in Egyptian archaeology. Only someone who ruled both worlds could authorize such a fusion. Someone like Cleopatra. The team was documenting everything when they found something that made them freeze. A metallic cylinder placed exactly between the two sarcophagi. Its corroded inscriptions pointed to 3 key words: sealing, protection, and renewal. The specialists didn't dare move it, but as soon as it was found, thermal and vibrational patterns intensified. Martinez, the lead archaeologist, described the moment like this. It felt like being in the presence of something that does not want to be awakened, as if the tomb itself were protecting something. Chemical analyses revealed traces of resin imported from Phoenicia, used only in royal burials, Dead Sea bitumen, a symbol of eternal preservation, and rare metals found only in pharaonic tombs. This was no ordinary tomb. It was a time capsule built to last forever. As the team analyzed the cylinder, something extraordinary happened. The vibrations stopped. For 11 minutes and 43 seconds, there was absolute silence. as if the place were waiting. Then suddenly they returned, but now in a different pattern. 3 rapid pulses, a 7-second pause, then 3 more pulses. The numbers 3 and 7 were sacred in ancient Egypt. They symbolize rebirth and divine protection. At that moment, the team realized they weren't just discovering a tomb, they were activating something. Preliminary DNA analyses of the remains inside the sarcophagi reveal Royal Egyptian lineage in the first body and Greco-Macedonian ancestry in the second. The characteristics match perfectly everything we know about Cleopatra VII and Mark Antony. But there's a problem. The bodies are preserved in a condition impossible for 2,000 years. Here's the part that baffles experts the most. The tomb wasn't simply lost, it was deliberately hidden. The evidence is clear. Artificially placed sand covering the entrance, carved warning texts about disturbing the sacred sleep, and architectural traps designed to collapse tunnels. Someone, probably the last priest of Isis, wanted to ensure that this place remained secret. But why? One theory is that Rome, after Cleopatra's death, destroyed any sanctuary connected to her. The priests, fearing desecration, moved the bodies to Taposiris Magna and erased all records. Another, more controversial theory suggests that Octavian himself, the future Augustus, ordered the concealment, not out of respect, but out of fear. Cleopatra had declared herself immortal, and if her tomb became a site of pilgrimage, Rome could not allow her to become a martyr. So they hid her, completely. The team still hasn't opened the sarcophagi, and maybe they never will. Why? Because opening Egyptian royal tombs is irreversible. One mistake can destroy 2,000 years of evidence in seconds. But today's technology allows something extraordinary: non-invasive scanning with atomic precision. Over the next few months, next-generation sensors will map every molecule inside the sarcophagi. We will learn the genetic identity of the bodies, their cause of death, the objects buried with them, and perhaps whether something else is hidden inside. Because the scans show something curious: a chamber beneath the sarcophagi, small, sealed, untouched. And what's inside? Nobody knows. But there's something even more disturbing. When archaeologists returned 3 days after the first analyses, they discovered that the vibrations had changed again. Now they followed a pattern no geologist could explain: pulses alternating between strong and weak, as if something underground were breathing. Instruments also recorded magnetic anomalies, the kind usually found near massive iron deposits, but soil tests ruled that out. Even more unsettling, thermal cameras detected a heat source inside the sealed chamber, maintaining a constant 36.5 degrees Celsius, the exact temperature of the human body. The team tried to rationalize it: chemical decomposition, mineral reactions, anything scientific. But nothing fit. It was as if, after 2,000 years of absolute silence, something inside that tomb had finally awakened. And the more instruments the team used, the more active the tomb became. Martinez admitted in an interview that for the first time in modern archaeology, the team considered simply sealing everything again and walking away. But science doesn't work like that, not when you're this close to the truth. What makes this discovery even more fascinating is the historical context many ignore. Cleopatra didn't die peacefully. She chose suicide to avoid public humiliation in Rome. According to historical accounts, she used the venom of an Egyptian asp, symbol of royalty and divine power. But here's a detail few people know. In Egyptian culture, dying from snake venom wasn't just suicide. It was a ritual of transformation. They believed the venom purified the soul and granted direct passage into the realm of Osiris. That's why when researchers analyzed the chemical residues on the metallic cylinder, they found traces of neurotoxins compatible with snake venom preserved for 2 millennia. But not just that, they also found residues of frankincense, myrrh, and nard, the same ingredients used in the funerary rituals of Egypt's most powerful pharaohs. This suggests Cleopatra wasn't simply buried. She was ritually prepared to be reborn as a divinity. And if the priests truly believed that, it makes perfect sense that they created not a tomb, but a portal, a space designed to facilitate the transition between worlds. Maybe that's why the site reacts the way it does, not as a dead structure, but as a mechanism still active, waiting for the right moment. If this is, in fact, Cleopatra's tomb, we are facing the greatest archaeological discovery of the 21st century. But the question remains, why hide someone so important? Perhaps because Cleopatra was never just a queen. She was a living symbol of resistance, a woman who defied Rome, seduced its generals, ruled an empire, and in the end chose death on her own terms. Rome could conquer Egypt, but it couldn't erase her memory, so they hid her, hoping time would do the rest. But 2,000 years later, the desert returned her secret. And now, for the first time since the pyramids were opened, the world may be about to look into the eyes of Egypt's last pharaoh. If you made it this far, leave in the comments, Isis, to show you're among those who truly seek the truth behind history. Subscribe to Sacred Routes. Every week I bring real archaeological mysteries that will make you question everything.